Now it's time for Personal Finance Monday. The Family Matters Amendment Bill may bring sweeping changes to the country's divorce laws. Amendments could impact how your property and other assets are divided in the event of a divorce or death, even if there's an antinuptial agreement in place. Smee, CEO of Only Realty Property Group, joins us with more insight on how it's likely to impact property ownership. Thank you so much for your time, Grant. New divorce laws are being tabled. Firstly, just talk to us about what's necessitated this General Family Laws Amendment Bill.
Good afternoon. Essentially, the Minister has tabled the amendments just due to looking to achieve fairer outcomes for spouses who have made meaningful non-financial contributions to the marriage, and that's off the back of a Constitutional Court decision made recently, or in 2023, looking for greater equity in divorces and estate matters.
Fairer outcomes, and I'm wondering then what has led to these discrepancies that led to that Constitutional Court decision.
So I think it really comes down to the accrual system and the use of the accrual system and the exclusion of assets generated during marriage and wealth created during marriage for parties in that marriage where non-contributing spouses have been left or have been negatively affected at death or divorce, because then non-financial contribution hasn't added to the assets of the marriage. So I think it really just comes down to the misuse or mismanagement of the accrual system in marriages and ANC contracts.
So does this mean then that it doesn't necessarily, that it's not necessarily going to be applied to all marriage contracts, just the ones then that have to do with accrual and non-accrual?
Exactly. So the impact comes to all marriages before 1984, where the accrual system wasn't in existence, and will apply to marriages after 1984, where the accrual is excluded. So obviously, where there is accrual included and the antinuptial contract includes that already, that won't be impacted. But really, it comes down to fairness at divorce or death in terms of the role that each party played.
Does this then override antinuptial contracts?
It doesn't necessarily override, but what the court will do is review those contracts and take a look at how they applied. And it's also not necessarily looking at just a straight 50-50 split, but looking at the contribution during the marriage of the parties, the arrangement between the parties, how the arrangement around dependence, and how each party was impacted in terms of their career, their business, and their ability to accumulate wealth.
I mean, we're talking about, the division of financial or physical financial assets at this point, including property after a divorce or death. But then you made a very interesting point that the element that's been added here is non-financial contribution of the people in the marriage. How easy or tough then will it be to match non-financial contributions to financial contributions?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be very, very difficult to come to an answer. And I think once and if the amendments are applied, the court's findings will sort of apply going forward. So it's going to be up to the court to decide how they look at that, how they view the contribution across the board. Like I said, it includes the duration of the marriage, the couple of arrangements regarding dependence, as well as the accumulation of wealth over time. So it is going to be superbly difficult, but I think it's an important step in terms of acknowledging non-financial contributions towards a marriage, as well as the accumulation of wealth during the period of a marriage for both parties.
So then let's drill down to the specific impact then on property ownership. What could this mean?
So obviously, most South Africans, most of their wealth is carried in property, and that's why it's such an important part of this is that their primary residence, holiday homes, or investment properties will be impacted. And the reality is, when you need to split assets, it's very difficult to split a building, so it will impact that largely across the board. So it's going to from a property perspective, it falls within your wealth category, and you might have to either liquidate those properties or split them evenly, depending on the court's findings. So it's an important part and an important consideration when you are buying these properties, what structure you're buying them in, and documenting the impact or also your contribution to the partnership or the ownership of those properties.
Yeah. And just lastly, then, I mean, people who are entering a marriage or considering entering a marriage, how should they approach property ownership and estate planning? And is that different to then how people who are already married should be approaching that kind of ownership, whether it is shared or not?
So I think it's important, obviously, firstly to take legal advice from a lawyer that is up to date on matrimonial law. But if you are getting married shortly or planning getting married, it's important that your antenuptial contract does align with the potential amendments coming that are going to be imposed, and that you structure it correctly. But also your property ownership is in the right structure, for example, or in the right investment vehicle, be that a P2I limited or a trust, to ensure that it's structured correctly, and the contracts around those structures are airtight. If you are already married, you can take a look at doing postnuptial adjustments in terms of the Matrimonial Property Act, and you can have those adjustments aligned with the new framework. Again, you need to take legal advice there as well. In terms of estate planning, it's vitally important that you do estate plan no matter what age you are, and ensure that you have the right advice in terms of estate planning to make sure that your estate is dealt with properly, upon your death.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We do have to wrap up the conversation there, but really, really interesting insights there, Grant. Really appreciated. That was Grant Smee, CEO of Only Realty Property Group.